All right, what's going on, y'all? So today we're going to talk about how I'm going to fast Great Lent as an Orthodox bodybuilder and fitness coach. And I'm also going to tell you in this video how you can go ahead and fast your Great Lent while still maintaining your physique and performance if that's something that's important to you. So this is a question I got recently on a Q&A I did on Instagram of how, as an IFBB pro, do I manage my fast? And so this is very applicable with Great Lent coming up next week. And it's something that I've had quite a journey with. So as many of you know, I'm no longer competing as an IFBB pro. I'm a retired pro bodybuilder, and that's going to be something we get into in a second. But, you know, I still am a full-time fitness and bodybuilding coach and in-person trainer. So my income, our family's income, is very much tied to my physique and performance. So how I manage fasting, and especially with Great Lent coming up, has been a journey and something that I've had to definitely navigate. So that's what we're going to get into today. First, I'm going to tell you my journey with all of this, how I'm going to specifically fast this Great Lent, and then how you can go ahead and fast Great Lent while still maintaining your physique and performance if that's something that's important to you. So first off, let's get into my journey with this. So this has been kind of a long journey. So I competed as a pro bodybuilder for several years, and before I stopped competing, I had a lot of momentum in the sport. I was growing at a great rate. Everything was kind of on track, but during that time, it was like every night I was racked with anxiety, and I knew it was coming from knowing that me doing anabolic steroids was not in alignment with God. Now, keep in mind, this is also before we converted over to the Orthodox Church. We were Protestant, Protestant going to a mega church at the time. And even there, there's a lot of people in Protestant mega churches that do steroids and condone steroids and think it's completely fine. And so it was very easy for me to logically, just think it's okay and kind of callous my mind over with it and go along with it. But every night I was racked with knowing something was right. So I dealt with this for several months, knowing God was working on me with my use of anabolic steroids and frankly what it was doing to my health and my body. And so even though I had all this momentum growing, about a year and a half ago, I decided to retire from pro bodybuilding and completely give up anabolic steroids. And so that's what I did. And I went through a period of time where I had to find out who I identified as, outside of competitive bodybuilding. And to be frank with you, trusting God and giving it up to Him, it didn't take long for me to kind of move past that. I had to go through a period of time where I was finding out what training styles I aligned with and all of that. And I still came back to high intensity bodybuilding as like my bread and butter, my true love. That, if you took away, social media, you took away my business, you took away everything, I would still love to train in that style, get in those deep pain caves and all of that. But, I love other training styles as well. So I went through a big journey where I was, finding out who I identified as outside of being a pro bodybuilder, but all during this time, and especially because my business is attached to my physique and performance, just like everybody else in the fitness industry, to market, I had to market with my physique, shirtless pictures, constantly showing my physique and all of that. And, during this time, it's been a huge journey even before we got to the Orthodox Church that, God's been working on me on my attachment to my physique. And while I completely believe it's actually important for a Christian to train, physically train, do hard things, and what that carries over into the spiritual life, I also think that, it's very easy to let your ego get involved in an unhealthy way when it comes to, bodybuilding, especially when it's attached to anything with social media or exterior validation. So the last year and a half has been a huge journey with this of me essentially finding more of my identity in Christ and completely just trusting God with, what it means to be more of a Christian bodybuilder and not be finding validation in, exterior things. So with it, I've given up a lot of that attachment to my physique. And so you can see this through my Instagram, especially, I used to post shirtless pictures essentially every post, and now it's pretty rare. The only times you really see me shirtless now is maybe a training video when I'm training outside and all of that. And so this has been a long journey, of essentially detaching myself from having any of my identity in my physique. Now, I don't think it's bad to have a great physique at all. I think, this is a way in which you can, like I said, I think it's very important for us to, as Christians, to do physical, hard work, hard training. And with that, result of that is going to be a great physique. That's kind of the proof of the hard work you're putting in. So I don't think it's bad to have a physique, but if you have any bit of your validation attached to that, which frankly most of us do, and it's just the way the modern world has set up, it's very easy to get caught up in that. That's where it becomes unhealthy. So I would say probably 6 months or so, I had kind of a big breakthrough with, giving a lot of that up to God. But, where I've struggled is my coaching business and my in-person training business is still very much tied to my physique. And so this is where I've had to give complete trust and faith in God, essentially, just me more following what it means to be a Christian and everything. And that means even how I market my business and how I market myself. And I'm not at the finish line for sure on this, but a lot of progress has been made. So how I manage my fast and how I've been fasting over the last several months is I do the Wednesday and Friday fasts completely compliant. With this, I still have it to where it's very much on my macros. So, I have macros throughout the week, my protein, carbs, and fats. I have a very set amount depending on what the goal is, whether, I'm in a surplus for performance, whether I'm in a deficit to lose some body fat, whatever the macros are set at. On a non-fasting day, I try to have that be pretty on point for a fasting day. And I have it set up to where my meals are already planned out to where I don't have to think about that on fasting days. Now, how I'm going to manage Great Lent. So first off, what I want from Great Lent is I do not want this to be a time at all where I'm focused on, frankly, my physique or performance. And this is going to be somewhat of a time of sanctification for me. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me of, years and years and years being so attached to my physique, so attached to my performance, my business being attached to it, that I'm going to use this time of Great Lent to, hopefully extinguish, a lot, maybe the last bit of this attachment to it. So with that being said, it's not going to be a goal of mine at all to be, frankly, maintaining my physique and performance during Great Lent. Now, with that being said, I'm still going to be going about this in a strategic way, and I'll get to that in just a second. But, this is something that God has been working on me to use this time to really deepen my prayer life, get closer to God, use this as a time of sacrifice to God. Like I said, I've been so attached to my physique and performance for literally years that, this is a time I frankly just want to give it all to God. So how I'm specifically going to be fasting Great Lent. So typically, on a regular day, and what I've been doing for the last several years is I eat 5 to 6 meals a day. It's what I do to maintain my physique and my performance. During this time of Great Lent, I'm going to be dropping that down to 3 times per day. I'll be supplementing with protein shakes in between there, but I'm going to be bringing that down to 3 times per day. There's a couple reasons for that, but before I get into that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting myself in a caloric deficit. This is something that for a few weeks I was struggling on. What do I do? Do I eat a lot of food during Great Lent and try to really, really upkeep my performance and my physique and all that? And what I have felt is best for Great Lent and fasting is actually treating it like a fast from food, not having a focus on food. And so with that, I want to be I want to be a little bit hungry. So I'm putting myself in a caloric deficit. I'm going to be eating under what it would usually take for me to maintain my weight. So I know weight loss is going to come out of this. And I want to be hungry. It's very common knowledge in the Orthodox Church that, and even outside the Orthodox Church, and even in fasting circles, that, after you eat a big meal, you're eating a lot of food, it's hard to go deep spiritually. It's hard to go deep in your prayer life. And it is something I've experienced as well. It's just like, after you eat a big meal, if you were to eat a big meal right before you do your evening prayers, if you're really self-aware with yourself, it's hard to go deep within your prayers after a big meal. So I'm intentionally putting myself hungry. This is very biblical. Everybody that fasted in the Bible, they were fasting food. They were getting very hungry. So I'm going to be putting myself in a deficit, and I'm going to be bringing my food down to 3 meals a day instead of 5 or 6, what my typical is, so I don't have a focus on food. Now, with that being said, because I'm so regimented and all of that, I'm still going to be eating a certain amount of macros per day. I am going to be eating a certain amount of protein per day to maintain some level of physique and performance. This is my business, so there still needs to be some level maintained here. So I'm going to be following macros, and the way I'm doing it is I have my meal setup, my 3 meal setup. I already have it planned out. It's going to be the same thing every day, and this is so I don't think about food. During this time of Great Lent, this isn't a time where, if you are focused on your physique and performance, I recommend you setting up your meal plan now, because this is not a time where you should be stressing over food, thinking about food in that way. Obviously we're going to be hungry and all of that, and this is a time to give that to God, but you shouldn't be essentially having your prayer life and your time with God and the time to really, really focus on sanctifying yourself as a time where you're stressing over what to eat to maintain your physique and performance. So I'm setting up my meals now, and I already have them set up for day 1 of Great Lent, what I'm going to be eating literally every day. And it's just a way of, what I'm going to be giving to God, the discipline I'm going to be showing through it and all that. I even have something that's been weighing on my heart, and, I'm only doing this with the blessing of my spiritual father, but I am even planning on doing a multi-day water fast. I don't know how many days that's going to be yet, but probably towards the end of Great Lent, I believe I'm going to do a multi-day water fast where I eat no food, and probably still train a little bit during that time. Another part with this is my training. My training is, while I'm going to upkeep it and I'm going to still train with intensity, I am going to be bringing some volume and a little bit of intensity back during this time. You got to keep in mind that while a lot of you, it's great to be upping the intensity of your training and all that to maybe create that discipline, which will translate over into your spiritual life. For me, I've had this ingrained in me for several years. I went from ultra running to bodybuilding. Before that, firefighter, military. Training's been my everything. So this is a time where I just want to put pure devotion in everything, for God. So that will back down a little bit. I'm still going to be obviously maintaining that. I do have in-person clients every day. I will be training around those times. But yeah, so that's how I'm handling fasting Great Lent. This is going to be a time where I'm purely focused on devotion to God, not focused on, what am I going to eat? What am I going to eat to maintain performance? How much carbs, how much fat, how much protein am I eating per day? Yeah, I'm going to have the macro set with those 3 meals, but it's not going to be a focus of mine, because that's what my focus has been for several years, and that will take away from my personal fast with this. Now, that is not how I'm saying you need to go about fasting, but in regards to that question I got in that Q&A about the person that feels guilty for not fasting because of their goals with bodybuilding, this is kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, and what I've had a journey with, that it's so easy with bodybuilding and even other strength sports, frankly any sports, but let's just take bodybuilding here. It's so easy to get so wrapped up in, I have to train every day, I have to eat all the meals every day, probably for external validation, that you're skipping your fast, and that's not how it should be. Here's the reality, guys, and this is coming from years and years and years of doing this myself and coaching other clients. If you were to first off, Wednesday and Friday fast, and you go completely vegan, you don't even eat shrimp meals or protein powder, you just go completely vegan, it's not going to hurt your physique and performance. But we're talking about Great Lent, which is extended here. If you were to completely decide, I'm not going to focus at all on my food, I'm going to do 1 meal a day, it's not even going to be high protein, and you basically just say goodbye to your physique and performance for a month and a half, your physique, guys, you have muscle memory. It will not take long at all for your physique to bounce right back. So my point is don't basically put God, a second to your physique and performance. Show God with your devotion through your fasts, that this is number 1 to you. That's what at least I'm doing. And keep in mind, guys, There's no judgment at all from my end. I've gone through a huge journey with this. This has been something I personally struggled with, and it's taken me a while to get here. And I'm excited to go through this process, which I know is going to challenge me in some ways. So now, how to get into Great Lent if you do want to maintain your physique and performance. Keep in mind, I do think it's best to set up your meal plan to where you're not focused on your meals and you can be focused on your prayer life and fasting. But what I recommend is you doing a macro. You need to have this macro based. So whether you want to be in a surplus, you want to maintain, or you want to be in a deficit, set up your macros in a way, and you can go find a TDEE calculator. Just like search TDEE calculator on Google, and you'll type in your height, weight, and your age, and it'll spit out an arbitrary number to you that's going to be at least somewhat close to accurate. From there, you're going to know your macros of what you need to be in a surplus, maintenance, or a deficit. And from there, plan out your meal plan of your meals 1 through 3 or whatever they're going to be to hit those macros, and then just stick there. Don't be every day thinking about what am I going to eat today, when I'm all of that. But with that being said, you can go ahead and do this high protein. So the way to do this high protein, and keep in mind, my wife Jacqueline and I, who are releasing a Orthodox cookbook, fasting cookbook for strength and performance here in the next several days. So you'll have it for Great Lent. Every single meal in there is fasting compliant and high protein. So you can kind of take the thought process out of it. But you can fast in a way which is high protein and still completely fasting compliant, that you won't, if you don't want to gain body fat, you won't gain body fat. If you don't want to frankly lose weight and you want to maintain performance, you'll be able to do that. So the whole point here is get like a tracking app like MyFitnessPal or something like that. Find out how many macros you need, and then plan out your high protein meals, which the cookbook is coming out soon, so that's going to help you all out with that. Plan out your high protein meals, and then you'll be good to go. And then kind of take the thinking out of it. That way you can fast appropriately. Now, like I said, what I would recommend, doing this as an actual fast where you are, probably intentionally a little bit hungry. You can do this to where you're hungry and still eating high protein, but that way you can go deep in your prayer life. And, if that means bringing the amount of food you eat per day, and the amount of frequency of meals down. So for me, I've been traditionally eating 5 to 6 meals a day. And with me now going to 3 meals a day, I'm bringing my eating window shorter. So I used to, get up and immediately eat food, and then I would be basically eating until right before evening prayers at night. With this, I'm going to be, essentially waking up, having my prayer time, spending a little bit of time, then eating meal 1. Meal 2 won't be long behind it, and then meal 3 won't be long behind it. My eating window will probably be more like 8 to 10 hours at most. That way it's also bringing the amount of time I'm eating down as well, which will help the prayer life. But this is how I'm personally fasting Great Lent this year. I'll keep y'all posted along the way. And if you guys have any questions on how to manage this yourself, with training goals, with physique goals, with performance goals, guys, this is what I'm here for. Lean on me. I'm here to answer your questions and help you guys with this. This is where I truly feel God is calling me to, use my years of experience as a pro bodybuilder, and in all the kind of crazy physical stuff I've done, and my knowledge with nutrition and all that to help the church essentially with their goals and all that. So, if I can be of assistance at all, definitely let me know. Drop that down in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely be on the lookout for more full days of eating. I'm going to be showing you guys what I'm eating, my 3 meals I'm eating throughout Great Lent. And then, however I can help, just let me know. But God bless y'all. Have a great rest of your day.